the only ones we still own today. We have a lot of black churches here in the city of Grand Rapids. Many of them put together some great programs for the young people who attend the church. Should it be the mandate of the black church to put together programs to address young people outside of their church family? Are young people being trained within the church as an institution to go out and not just talk about Jesus, but also build the community and empower your brother and sister? That's a deep question. Whoever wants to start with that, but not Reverend Bishop. We know he'll probably get to that, but somebody other than Reverend Bishop first address this question.
I think I can start answering that question. Partly too, being a young person as well. I'm 19, just turned 19 in March. And I guess going to school, I graduated from East Kentwood with a ZZ. And it's always that fear of, oh, you go to church? Oh, maybe, you know what I'm saying, you can't do certain things or do this or that. I think there's a certain stigma associated with the black church that if you are in church, that you're different, or that you're less of a person, or that you can't do certain things viewed by people who are not in the church. I think, and I know when I was at East Kentwood, I would minister to people. I would tell them, you know, look, come to my church, come to Messiah, you know what I'm saying? Or come on out. You know, and that dialogue right there is key, because people, they feel church people in a way, and we have done this, and I'm guilty of this as well, is that they backlash, or they'll outcast them, or they'll brand them. Oh, well, you have sex, you do drugs, or you hang out on the corners, or you smoke weed. You're not accepted, you're not welcome in our church. People do feel like that. They feel like if they come into the church, that they would not be accepted, that they would be outcast, like I said earlier. So I think it's the church's job and role is to help those young people who are out there struggling and want a place to call home. They want a place where they can go to for safety, a safe haven. They want a place where they can get a good meal, like Reverend Bishop was talking about. I mean, I think it starts with each individual. You know what I'm saying? I think the churches here in Grand Rapids need to get more involved in just what we want to do as young people and our needs and our wants. You really need to listen to these people. Really get out there and talk to them. Talk to them to see what they want and what they need.
Sure. How about it, Mr. Jasper? Are the people, and we're generalizing here, so there's no disrespect, but when we analyze, we have a lot of churches here in Grand Rapids, and we have a lot of problems, and we're going to be addressing some of that with our long-standing leadership panel, but are the people, the people in the church, the young people in particular, being trained to come out into the community, or are they praising God, counting their blessings, and then not necessarily becoming that catalyst?
I think that we need to truly look at the definition of Christianity for those of us who are Christians. Christianity means a follower of Christ. A Christian is a follower of Christ, if you want to simplify it like that. And if you're following Christ, and if you truly look at what Jesus did, I don't think that a lot of people around here who are in the church are truly Christians. If Jesus was as complacent as many of our pastors, not all, but many, he never would have got out the tomb. There wouldn't be a religion. There wouldn't be a religion called Christianity. Jesus prayed. Jesus prayed to his Father. But he didn't wait for his Father to pick him up and place him in the position he wanted to be in. He walked. Jesus did his thing. I don't see that in the church. As a black nationalist, I can't call myself a Christian because I feel as though, especially in Grand Rapids, especially with a lot of, with the exception, there are examples. Reverend Bishop, Pastor Nathaniel Moody, who has taken me under his wing. There are key individuals who I feel as though are progressive. But for the most part, I would like to see the black church out in the streets as I see the Nation of Islam, the Brothers from the Nation. I should be able to find a pastor who lives in my neighborhood if he preaches in my neighborhood. And I don't see that. I feel as though, and I don't want to come off as disrespectful or blasphemous or heathen or any other thing that I'm sure a lot of people have going through their head about. However, I feel as though if you're audacious enough to put yourself in a leadership position, as a black pastor is, then you need to be held accountable. And we need to question these individuals. And I challenge you to go to your church, whatever church you go to, and talk to your pastor. Ask him about black-on-black violence. Ask him about the problem with drugs in the community. Ask him about the problem of teen pregnancy. And if his only answer for you is pray about it, you need to start looking up.
I want to add a dimension for that, for you gentlemen on the end. In Reverend Sharpton, I read an article in XXL magazine from him where he's interviewed. And they were asking about the church and becoming a catalyst for change in society, which is what we're talking about. And they asked Reverend Sharpton about the church historically being that institution for change, through your Martin Luther Kings, through your David Allens, your Frederick Douglasses, to your W.E.B. Du Boises. They were involved in the church. They asked Reverend Sharpton, being involved, the church being the focal point for change in society today, does that undermine some of the struggles and the issues that we have today? So when you address this issue, Reverend Bishop and Rodney and anybody else who addresses this, because this is a key one, is that the church's role today? Is that the mandate of the church to be out in the community? Or is it that the church today is to deal with the spiritual needs of the people who are within the confines? Speak to that, anybody.
But I think there's duality in that question right there. I think that obviously, we spend a great deal of time as ministers, and Grand Rapids has a very high number of purpose and performance-driven churches. There's no question about that. And I don't feel adequate to speak on behalf of the entire clergy community. But I'm going to speak to this, and I'm going to speak to it very directly. And the duality of the accountability. We can equip people all day long. But the responsibility is, as parents make a choice to live like hell, and they allow what we impart in them to just go by the wayside because they only want to sacrifice faith on maybe 1 or 2 days a week. The accountability needs to be that, okay, if I'm not equipping people, especially in the vein of ministry that I'm in, we speak to the brokenness in young men's lives and their moral change, and then we go chase after them. LifeQuest is known as the church without walls because we operate outside the cinder block mechanisms of one building. The new buzzword as we travel around the various conferences to preach is the satellite church. So you have to go to where broken people are, but when you go and you begin to impart things, broken people have to make a decision to make a change. They have to make a decision that I can't go home to women that are not my wives. That I need to make a moral decision that I need to raise up my Ichabods that are all over town. That when you look at 1 Samuel, there was a condition where the grandfather and the father was gone, and in despair, the mother named her child Ichabod. The glory of God was gone. The church is one of the most single powerful institutions for change, but yes, we are underperforming. But it's a duality. People, when we talk about the change in philanthropy, we will give to everything but changing lives. And we'll blame the church. We will blame the church for every woe, but we'll buy Lexus trucks that can't save people's lives. We'll spend ridiculous amounts of money on ringtones that don't talk about faith. We'll keep underperforming unionized teachers that have no relationship with people at the highest level of payroll instead of moving them out and moving them on. But at the same time,